Welcome to another episode of An-Nafs podcast with me, Naba Madani.
And me, Rida Alwan. And today we welcome Rashad Salim to the studio with his beautiful props talking about the heritage of Iraqi boats, and he's a scholar in the arts as well as an artist himself.
Welcome.
شرفنا. شكرا على الدعوة. Thank you for inviting me over.
You're very welcome.
Thank
We're very honored that you're here.
It's a pleasure.
We made it happen.
We finally made it happen. You've come all the way from Iraq, and we are privileged to have you on with us. And we really do appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gosh, we've got so much to talk about today.
I mean, the props themselves say a lot.
Yes, they do.
That's not counting the whole story we're going to be getting into.
Yeah.
Let's start, if you don't mind. How old were you when you started this, and then your earlier years and when you left Iraq, just so that we have an understanding of your background, and then obviously your heritage as well, because I believe you're artist upon artist upon artist of generations. Mm-hmm. So if we can have a little snapshot of your history before we get into the deep stuff.
All right. My father's an artist, my whole family artists, Nazar Selim, but he was also a diplomat. So I was born in Sudan. And I started speaking in China, and then in Sweden and Yugoslavia, Libya, then back to Iraq when I was 13. So I've been moving around, and mobility is part of what this whole project is about. It's about moving. But in each one of these countries also, I was attracted to the boats, the water, specifically water. So in China, Beijing, the hidden city, the forbidden city, there's a marble boat there that's really stuck in my 4-year-old memory. In Sweden, we made a canoe and was on the lakes because Stockholm is an archipelago. Yes. Mm-hmm. So then the Vikings and all that. So it's always been with in my imagination, the boats. In Libya, swimming and all that. Water. I left in 1982. But that's another story. So
left Iraq? Left Iraq?
Yes,
okay.
I left Iraq, and we went back to Iraq in 1970.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Before leaving in 77, 78, I participated in an expedition run by or led by Thor Heyerdahl, he used to be really famous before. 2 years after the Second World War, he built a log raft called the Kon-Tiki and sailed from South America to the Polynesian islands.
Wow.
And then in the early 70s, he built a raft out of papyrus.
Okay.
And sailed from Africa to South America.
Wow.
So he's connected. His whole idea is that water isn't a barrier. Is actually a means of transport, of going from the earliest of periods. Anyway, in 77, he decided to build one in Iraq. So I participated in the construction. I was 20. In the construction and also the sailing of it from Gurna, where the Tigris Euphrates meet, the confluence, down the Shatt al-Arab, through the Gulf, to India, to Pakistan, actually, to the subcontinent, Pakistan, and then across to Africa.
Wow, that must have been a trip.
That was a great trip. Yeah, it used to be quite well known in a reed boat.
Okay.
So that's supposed to be, the most basic kind of boat in Arabic is called a shasha, which are bundles. Yeah. Bundles of reeds or rushes. Whatever it is that floats really, and you find them all over the world.
Okay.
And that's what's interesting is that both the Kon-Tiki, the raft, and which is a kelek in Arabic and Iraqi, and the shasha, the Tigris reed boat, these are types of boats, as well as in the pictures you have over here, the gufwa, and even the mishhuf, canoe. All of these are types of boats you find all over the world.
Okay.
So there's no one country or people that have invented, but each environment, each culture gives its own flavor, its own character, its own material accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was always interested in it. I mean, when it comes to the Tigris expedition, there's still a lot of things that we are discovering about trade and sailing in the most ancient times. So we're talking with the reed boat, this kind of reed boat, it would be at least 6,000 BC, that sort of thing. Because afterwards, once you get into 4,000, you start having metal and then more wood, etc. But all of these boats are also constructed, because I'm an artist, I'm interested in sculpture and making.
Okay.
And what you see is that there is a sort of an alphabet of making globally. All humans have this alphabet of making. Things like making a bundle, a rope.
Yeah.
You know, these are the ABC of making.
Okay.
Yeah? From this, you make the boat, you make the architecture, you make all of these things. You know, sewing. All of these are, something everybody shares. So if I'm running off too much, tell me.
No.
You're fine.
We're
so
very
interested.
intrigued. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so 2013, I left in 1982.
Where did you go, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, England and then Morocco and then Yemen. I spent years over there, and that was very formative for me. The culture, just seeing the different ways that Islamic cultures in particular, Muslim, have dealt with the idea of art and crafts. You know, each one is very different.
Okay.
So, and it's something that as a young man getting into the arts and being in an art family, my father was the Director General of Arts at the time, you know, Rashad Salim, his brother, so we were quite a nucleus in Baghdad when he returned to Iraq. So all the teachers, you know, Rafa Nasri, Shakir Hassan, Azawi, all of these people used to come to the house. We know them, etc. But I always had a sort of a bit of a questioning about what this art that we're making, that I was supposed to be making, that I love making art. You know? What does it mean within the context of what we're living through? So when you go to like Morocco, you see a culture that has a very clear distinction between East and West. They don't synthesize. Yeah?
Okay.
In Iraq, we tend to let go of things, drop things, take things that, you know, we take something new and
forget the old.
We forget the old or thing, you know. And it has to do a lot with topography, I believe. I mean, Iraq is a place where, you know, you've got from Baghdad to Basra, 33 meters over 6,000 kilometers. So it's like, you know, a sweep. It gets flooded.
Okay.
It has that sort of thing. And floods that are not foreseeable and are quite destructive, unlike Egypt and the Nile, which has a pattern.
Okay.
Even if you take it when it comes to seafaring or water, in Iraq, you know, you're always fighting against the elements.
Wow.
Yeah, the winds might come, but then you're going against the tide, against the flow of the river. You know? You have to pull, you have to struggle. While like in Egypt on the Nile, they have it both ways good because it flows from south north, and the winds are from
north south.
North south. So you know they've got it different. So Iraq has always had this struggle, and this absoluteness, and this sort of crazy pragmatism. You know, where this we're not using this anymore. Gone. So so I noticed that there in Morocco, you know, you'll have one room that is for Moroccan seating, the other for the French, a closet for one and another for the other. Brilliant artists. They are as great artists as in Iraq or anywhere else in Morocco. But it's separated the realms.
Okay.
You know, between the traditional and
the modern.
And the modern or the muktabas, you know, until it comes in. It comes into language, etc. Yemen, you live inside the art. In Yemen, the whole country is art. You wear art. The traditional buildings are art. Everything is art. There isn't a separation between art and life. You don't have a painting traditionally.
Yeah.
You know, and even in the contemporary, it hasn't been really gone into it because it's just so beautiful. The actual lived cultural heritage, the lived art, and it's expressive. You know. So anyway, so these are things that always.
You've seen on your way.
Yeah, and I've always been interested in it with the boats. Then in 2003, I did visit after the invasion.
Okay.
And I did a project with kites.
Okay.
Kites,
Yeah.
completely different to boats.
No, not that different. It's movement.
It's movement.
Okay.
Yes, you're
It
right.
is movement, and it's also the construction is very basic.
But you said you were interested in water, so
Yes,
Kite-
rain and clouds and
you
sky.
flew the kites through
No,
the.
we didn't have enough wind actually on that
Okay.
event. There was a bit of a flop, wind-wise.
Yeah,
Okay.
Otherwise,
of course.
making it was interesting. It was
So
sort of like
traditional
reclaiming-
traditional making of kites.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That what you get in Calvia.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a tradition, the diamond kites that you find all the way to China,
Yes.
Afghanistan, and this. I mean,
Yeah.
that's another thing that always preoccupied me. Is in Iraq there was this nearly complete facing of the West as a source
Yeah.
and as an engagement. Well, our engagement has always been with the Indian Ocean,
Wow.
with the
Yeah,
Gulf and
yeah,
all the
yeah,
way to
yeah,
China. We had amazing crafts, including silk and printing, and we have vast range.
Me too.
Anyway, but history is important. So, 2013, I visited again
Okay.
as part of an expedition set up by Nature Iraq, Azam Alwash,
Okay.
who was doing a sort of a demonstration with boats
Oh wow.
in Turkey. So he was working in the marshes, and
Yeah.
Nature Iraq was working in the marshes, and so the idea was to make a demonstration on the Tigris in Hassan Kef, which is one of the most ancient of cities, and a crossroads, a nexus of Turkic, Arab, Kurdish, Armenian traders. It's part of the Silk Road, part of that whole thing on the Tigris, and it was also one of the sources of a boat called a kelek, which is the raft,
Okay.
a bit like kontiki. It's just a float.
Okay.
Basically, there are two types of boats. One that floats on its own body mass,
Yeah.
and the difference of its body mass to the water.
Yeah.
So it's lighter than water
Of
as
course.
a body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one is called the displacement. So both the boats that we have over here, the Mashhouf and the Guf, are displacing. They displace
The water to
the
float
water, so they have an air pocket inside.
on. Okay.
A float like the kelek or the shasha, the Tigris. This is a float. It's a body. When I was riding on the Tigris,
Yeah.
the reed boat, it felt like you were on a mattress. So you actually feel the waves going through. The water goes through it. It wasn't tarred.
Wow.
There was no skin, so it's just a body.
What was it made of? Is it bamboo?
Reeds.
Oh, reeds. Okay.
Bardi. It's rushes, types of rushes. Bardi, Ugosab. Yeah.
And
So it goes-
these are all made in the Ahwaz, or
Well, these are made wherever you have marshes.
okay.
But in Iraq, and you said Ahwaz, they were made until sort of the middle of the century. But these rafts, the shashes, are not very large, 3 meters, 4 meters, and you can make them in an hour, 2 hours. So if a child needs a boat in the marshes, you make it,
Oh wow.
and you're off. Then and it's very simple.
Yeah.
We have images of it going to Akkadian times and Babylonian times, and we have images of these boats. We've got and there's a lot of study research still going. I mean, we have images of these kind of boats, Mesopotamian ones, reaching Egypt.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, but we don't know exactly how those were built. So they're still, part of what I'm doing is called experimental archaeology. So Tor Heyerdahl was an experimental archaeologist. So the idea of experimental archaeology is that you live or you create something from the period that you're studying. to understand it. Yeah. So, anyways, in 2013,
13. Yeah.
I built online. I was in London, built online, but I'd been wanting to build since the Diamond Jubilee.
Yeah.
Because there was this armada on the Thames.
Yes, that's correct. I
There's
remember that.
A big armada. I said, well, there should be some Iraqi boats in this, That was the sort of idea. So I'd been studying the guffa, which is a coil basket, tarred. I made one online with someone who doesn't know how to make a guffa, but knows how to do basketry.
Okay.
With a young man, Salman, being on the ground.
Yeah.
And also the kelek.
Okay.
Yeah, because they had sacrificed 25 goats to make skins, because the kelek sits on inflated skins.
Oh,
Okay?
wow.
So the goat or the sheep or the calf, and you find in Tibet, actually oxen is completely the skin is completely taken off and all the holes are fixed, and then it's blown. And the saqi, the saqi?
Yes.
Okay, Maktab al-Saqi, the logo for it.
Yeah.
It's shitwa, they call it.
Yeah.
For water. So water used to be taken in these.
Yes.
And also was used to make buttermilk, shaking it, shitwa, The Bedouins have it on string on rope.
Yeah.
Okay, to make buttermilk or yogurt. And it's also used as an airbag. So basically it's, an airbag. And you have, they used to build keleks that had, 300 of these and more, huge ones.
Wow.
So these keleks used to bring down south, the stones for milling, huge stones, the wood for building, qawaq, you've seen, I don't know if you remember, in Iraq, they used to use a lot of poles in building.
Okay.
These come from the mountains.
Okay.
So it's basically the
transport system.
And Iraq has always been connected through its rivers from north, from the mountains to the Gulf. And it's all interconnected, and it's very easy.
I believe off screen we've spoken about how Baghdad was like a canal system, wasn't it?
The canal system used to be from as far south as you want to Duhok and up into the mountains. You had canals, but especially in the delta area, from Euphrates Delta, Diwania as a center, Babel, Baghdad, down, and then also in Basra and the area around it.
Yeah.
There were canals built.
Wow.
As well as the tributaries and the various branches of the Euphrates. And of course, in the marshes, you make a path just by going through the marshes. And when it's used over and over, it actually becomes a canal. So if you look at Google Maps and look at the area that is Nasriya down to the south where Uruk is and all these places, it's very clear there. You'll see, the markings of canals. There's no water, but the markings are there.
They're still there,
So they study that. This used to be all the way. We had a whole system that's probably better than the road system we have now, that were canals from all the way.
Just out of curiosity, why has it dried up? I know we're going off topic here, but is this just lack of water, or?
Well, it's not off topic because we are at the moment in Hassan Kef.
Yeah.
And there are a number of reasons.
Okay.
The two main ones are the dams that have been built.
Okay.
So this was protesting the Eliso Dam that we have in Hassan Kef. Hassan Kef is over 13,000 years old. It's always been an interconnection of cultures.
Yeah.
They still speak, for example, Arabic in a dialect that is Abbasid.
Interesting.
There,
wow. I didn't know that.
I had no idea.
I didn't either before going there. But now it is submerged. It's
Okay.
completely submerged, that area. Then, so you've got the Greater Anatolian Project, which is the GAP project, and that is, I don't know how many, God knows, over 20, maybe 50 dams on everywhere. Now, when you're in the high street in England, in London, you'll have a Turkish shop. You go to a Turkish shop, there's a lot of stuff on sale there.
Yeah.
A lot of that is coming from the use of the waters that have been dammed.
Okay.
You can even buy water brought all the way here from Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So water, it's not just for irrigation, it's an industry, especially if you're doing cash crops.
Yeah.
So that has been completely, all the waters have been blocked. Syria have been blocked. Now, after the invasion, all that, the Iranians are blocking all the rivers coming down on the Tigris side. Caron and others, they're diverging into the mountains, taking away water and back into the mountains. So there is just simply, water wars. We have lost our Siada, so we cannot actually do anything. People like Nietzsche Iraq were talking about, oil for water. Yeah. Anyway, so out of that, but that's one. The second is urbanization, and I guess the third one is the combustion engine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, Iraq is the first. If you want to talk, I hate when Iraqis say we're the first of this, the first of that. But the fact is that we were the first industrial hydrocarbon culture. And we're also the first throwaway culture and the first consumer culture. Not just writing that. We may not be the first writing or the wheel, but this for sure, because of the availability of various grades of bitumen and petroleum, oil, and clay. Clay is a plastic. When it's fired, it's just so. All the zakura, the ziggurat of ore, between layer and layer, is reed mats, and mortar tar. You can still see it coming out there.
Wow.
And the hashu, the core of the ziggurat, is garbage, is rubbish, which is the broken ceramic pieces. Wherever you go in Ur, wherever you go, the walls, the structures that are still there, el-hashu maratum, the fill, the core fill, is broken ceramics. They used to literally, like we do now with bottles, water bottles, get something, whatever, finish it and chuck it away. So, the situation at the moment in Iraq is karmic. We've got a return of the worst. We started this shit. Sorry. But anyway.
Okay.
We're the first standing army. We're the first to say, hey, we've destroyed the next neighbor's village and made a pile of skulls.
Wow.
We were the first to do these sort of civilized things that have brought us to the situation that we're in now. But what I noticed on the way down from Hassan Kaif, because at the time we made the demonstration there, most everybody returned down. So it's just taking the boats there doing it. I decided to go down the river and got together a crew and some of the boats, and we started traveling down the river. So from Hassan Kaif, just 15 kilometers close to Elisu, then we were stopped. Then from Fish Khabur, which is the border between Syria and Iraq, it's a major Christian area. Entering from Fish Khabur down to Mosul, the dam, the Mosul Dam, and then we had to skip at the time because of security to Baghdad, doing a bit of Baghdad. Then we went down to above Kut, and then through the barrage, and then Amara to the marshes in our boats. So it's like a month.
How did that feel? You said that's 2013. Is that correct?
Yeah. That felt fantastic. It felt fantastic, and I had over there an epiphany, which is sort of a vision then of the Ark of Noah.
Okay,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Okay, at that. Why? Because I was traveling in a gufra,
Okay.
in this coracle.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a round coracle. And it occurred to me that, this, when you put 7 of them together,
Yeah.
it creates a sebar'iyun, which is a talisman.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
And when you cut the bundle of the boat, like the Tigris, when you cut the bundle,
Yeah.
the section is the same pattern. And this pattern is called in sacred geometry the flower of life. Yeah? And it's in Islamic patterns, and it's in physics, it's in carbon molecules, water molecules. So the idea came that, if there was an ark,
Yeah.
if there was an ark, I'm not trying to prove that there was an ark at all. Yeah? If there was an ark, it would have been built with the material and the skills of its time and place.
True.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
that is I don't know if we spoke about it before speaking or now, but
Yeah.
this sort of alphabet of making.
Yes.
Okay. So that was, it would have been built with that alphabet of making with the material around. Now, that's one. Secondly, if you were to build an ark, you wouldn't build something you have never built before
No.
and put everything into it. You have not tried it.
No, of course not.
Yeah. That means that you wouldn't make a monolithic. The thing is that I don't know if you've seen what's his name, Russell Crowe, the
Noah.
Noah. Yeah, yeah.
and any children's toys, and there's a whole visual industry about the ark. They have even tried to recreate the ark according to the gospel in, I think it's Kentucky or somewhere for $2 million. Rebuilt it.
Okay.
Okay. They sued the construction because when it rained, it actually
Leaked.
leaked.
True,
Yeah. But the thing is that that boat, that is the Western sort of ark idea,
Yeah.
is actually 17th century cog, a type of boat from the 17th century made big.
Yeah.
And we find this sort of, most cultures will naturally get a story and then interpret it in its own image.
Of course.
So it's nothing to do with the actual time, the actual place, the actual thing. It's a self-projection.
Okay. Yeah.
And you have these, it's only really Western Christian that go all the way in trying to manifest in reality and say, this is the truth, this is the real thing, based on nothing,
Yeah.
But in Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is one of the first descriptions in writing of the ark, it's simply that the home is which is a reed hut, like the one in the picture, is turned into a boat.
Yeah.
So the idea came that they would have gathered what they had, the village, into a structure. And the strongest structure is this sebar'iyun.
Wow.
6 around 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the logo that we did. And I had this thing of as an artwork. So 2014, you had this horrible Daesh and thing.
Yeah.
And I went into that was just an epiphany at the time. But in 2014, I went into deep depression with Daesh and what was happening with that.
Yeah.
I was like bedridden for a while.
Bless you.
And that epiphany was working as something that I could work with.
Okay.
2015, with a friend, Stephen Stapleton, Edge of Arabia. I don't know if you remember Edge of Arabia. They had a big exhibition and stuff at the time. And also...
what type of exhibition, sorry?
Of Saudi art.
Okay, Saudi, okay.
Mainly Saudi art. Then, but he had a very large gallery.
Okay.
Battersea, lovely place. And he gave me 2 months to sort of develop the idea.
Okay.
As an artwork.
Okay.
So I did various artworks. We sold some.
Nice.
And someone from Stephen, standing another Stephen,
Yeah.
from the British Council. He was the head of the arts.
Okay.
British Council. Then he liked the idea and gave us a little bit of funding to explore it. So I went back to Iraq in 2016
Okay.
as scoping, just to sort of study that.
Mm.
This was the first arc for Iraq sort of phase. Scoping, seeing what's going on, and building gufwas, because the idea was to have to build the seven gufwas.
Seven
You know?
gufwas,
And we already started thinking about going and presenting in Venice.
Yeah.
I should have brought the poster for you. Anyway,
Yeah.
Next time.
I can bring a poster. Yeah. So Venice, thinking about Venice and as an art project.
Yeah.
You know? But the more I was in Iraq, you know, and seeing the situation, going down the river in 2013, it was clear that life had left the rivers. You know, the rivers were polluted. Any boats, traditional boats, very, very few, were made of metal. So
Okay.
no traditional boats. Gufwa even was metal. Total pollution, and also senses of separation.
Mm.
You know, Iraq has always been connected.
Yeah.
Trade, movement. You know, not just in Iraq, the whole area.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, the whole the Fertile Crescent, you know, to Palestine, and you know, the whole thing is we've always been connected.
Mm.
You know, the Gulf, the connections between Iraqis and Basra and the Gulf is immense. You know, families are intermixed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Very true.
Trade, movement, and this.
Yeah.
With all these different political situations that we've gone through, you know, we've had you know, several degrees of separation.
Mm.
So we had a separation now of people from the environment, you know, people from each other, between generations. So the whole thing is fragmented in a way that is absolutely contrary to anything in our culture previously. Yeah? We have never reached the stage of alienation, as I witnessed during that period, ever. And boats are a way for me to reconnect, to use as a reconnecting. That has been the role of boats. Even in mythology, you know, you have boats are what crosses over to the other world.
Yeah.
You know, the Egyptians, the Greeks, you know, everybody. It's you can cross over. Gilgamesh crossed the sea of death, you know, to get to Dilmun, to Bahrain, you know. So those ideas were working, and decided to start making sort of more a scoping to see what's left of this tradition. You know? Alhamdulillah, and I got some funding, additional funding. The first was, you know, auto-funded by friends.
Yeah.
Also, really good friends that helped, like Loya Trakchi, for example, on Ali al-Husri, Hafid al-Sa'd al-Husri, and his wife. You know, the sort of friends helped me, and I sold works and stuff, allowed me to start building a picture of what's going on, and that allowed me to, with my partner, we set up Safhina Projects as a KIC, a community interest company.
Okay.
In England. I had a sort of thing whether to do an NGO in Iraq. I decided not to.
Okay.
Because if you make an NGO, you start feeding the NGO rather than the project. And the whole idea was, you know,
You want to feed the project, not the NGO.
Yeah, okay, and to build it. So, so then the second, third phase was really building these boats. Managed to build boats in Heat, in Babylon, and Hilla. In Baghdad, we're now building the Belem. In Basra, several different kinds of boats, and especially in the marshes. So we've constructed all and made a complete study on all the different kinds of mishhoofs. This one we have over here with this high neck,
Yeah.
is a طرادة مشيوخ. يكون منجم. It's got stars.
Okay.
Yeah. But, so different boats and each one, but especially the mishhoofs are... so I'm not letting you speak or anything.
No,
we're so
listen,
intrigued. This is so interesting.
I mean, the thing
It's
is,
a monologue.
no, it's
No,
not a
this is
monologue. On the contrary,
absolutely
I think
amazing.
anybody that's going to be listening to this,
Yeah.
everyone's going to be intrigued in what you're saying because
Absolutely.
it's
Do
something.
interrupt me if I'm going
No,
off.
absolutely. But I mean, I think what me and Naba will probably. I mean, we've been wanting to have you on for quite a while
We have.
because this is an area that none of us really know about. It's part of our heritage.
Yes, it's very
And
important.
as Iraqis, unfortunately it's been lost. Lost in translation, lost in communication. It's not spoken about. Like you said, Iraqis have this throwaway culture where we think of the ahwaz and we've got these images of pictures that we've
Ahwaz.
seen.
Ahwaz is a place.
Sorry, ahwar. And then we got these images of these places that we've seen photos of or artwork.
Yeah.
But it's like none of us have really actually gone.
Well, the good thing is now, with the mishhoofs that we've made in Huwair, with these, we have built over 90 of them,
Oh, that's fantastic.
and we have 10 clubs. So we have established establishing. It's now being recognized by the Ministry of Youth and Sport.
Oh,
by
that's
the Ministry
fantastic.
of Education, because there's a Scout movement. I consider the Scout movement part of our heritage, part of our cultural heritage.
Really?
Of course. I mean, we started in the 1936 or 7 or that sort of thing. It started.
Okay.
And it's a world heritage. So you have Scout movements all over the world, and you have young people coming together from all over the world.
That's correct, yes.
It's been sort of undermined with various sort of more militaristic, militia-type things, like in Saddam's time with Talai, etc. But it was reinstated in Iraq, so we had that. We have this. So we have the structure of the Scouts.
Okay.
Yeah?
Just out of curiosity,
yeah.
we've got a video that we've discussed. Is that part of this current project, or is this part of another project?
No, this is the first 2 phases. It's a 4-phase. Now it's going to be a 5-phase project.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is the first 2 phases, which is the first building of the boats
Okay.
Amazing.
and starting to use them.
Lovely.
I think.
Shall we?
Shall we
put
play
on?
it? Yeah. Let's put it on.
Let's
Yeah.
put it on.
How long does a boat take to make?
Between 10 days and 2 weeks.
Wow.
But each one is a different type, and that's a. See, this is a reed boat that we made, and we discovered they used to sail it. You know, when we put the sail, no, they never use sails, but there's indications of sails, and they naturally sail. We found all these, the families of the best boat builders.
Yeah.
Their children. You know, some of them had actually worked with them to build the boats. Yeah, with them.
So they were remembering what they had learnt when they were younger years.
Yeah, I mean, they could recognize from photographs who had built which boat.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's an artwork.
Of course.
Yeah. But also the material culture, you know. There are different types of these mats. This is in heat. This boat is a smaller version of a boat called Asbiya that used to take the tar down to Ur and to the south.
Okay.
It's a one-way boat, that one. You know?
Oh, okay.
It's like a box that they send over.
Single use.
Tar, you know. Bitumen. This with a very high neck is called a Nofaliya. It's an Ashira, a tribe. They like it very high, but also because when it's really stuck up in the air,
Yeah.
it doesn't get caught in the reeds.
Interesting.
Okay. It's a tribe around Amara and those. But the boats were built in Huwair
Okay.
with these people. This gentleman is now building an Abbasid gondola that we've been studying.
Oh, wow.
Ustad Adil. See, that's the pattern of the ark.
Amazing. How amazing. Absolutely wonderful.
Wow, that is
So can I ask you,
fantastic.
on the all the tourists that we see going through the marshes, are they using your boats?
No, I mean, until now, and this is the problem, we have created these clubs, 10 of them. So we've got in Sulaimaniya, we've got in Baghdad, in Babil, in Diwaniyah, some of them two clubs in different places, in Suq
Okay.
in Chabayish, in the marshes, in Mdana, in Basra, and in Kut, now opening. So
Yeah.
we've got these different ones. And the initial one was that, it would be a sporting club,
Okay.
as well as, we didn't have the idea of the scouts yet, a sporting club, and as well as a tourist service for people wanting to visit and go onto the rivers. So tourism. That the problem is that what we found out, especially in the marshes itself, is that it's more like a taxi service now, the tourism, where they have a motorized zip, going into the marshes, then back.
Okay.
It's they're made to enjoy the motorized ride,
Okay.
as a ride, rather than actually, experiencing where they are or the culture. And this makes more money for the operators.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's faster, right? It
It's
generates
faster.
more.
It's just going in, going back, and that's that. To do something where you're actually experiencing the marshes and the culture, that we are developing.
Okay.
We need to develop. They haven't yet got it.
Okay.
They really enjoy it, and we've made trips. There's another film over there, Siraj, you can put on at some point, where we stayed overnight inside.
Yeah.
But the idea for us is that, and we've also designed a special boat for tourism, that we've made 8 of, which is motorized.
Okay.
So it's a tarada, but it
Yeah.
can carry 18 people.
Okay.
With a motor that is discrete. So you have the end of it.
Okay.
Discrete, which has been fantastically popular in Sulaimaniya on the Dokan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very popular, and in other places as well. But we are still, it's part of the structure to support the clubs.
Yeah.
And what we're hoping is that we can develop them such that, anybody, any of the young people or old people, whoever, and already happening, people visiting, like Sugushuk or from abroad,
Yeah.
will come, and you've got an opportunity to actually go out
Yeah.
in these boats and, show your kids the boats.
But traditionally, it's more. I mean, for me to understand it, it's more like the Venice, sort of like a gondola.
That's
The whole gondola sort of pushed manually by a stick of some sort, and then it's just sort of then you're just going with the current of some sort.
I'm glad you brought in Venice and the gondola. And when we represented Iraq for the first time in the Venice Biennale Architectura with Safhina projects, it was an expeditionary pavilion. Yeah. We're grateful to the Jamils community. Jamils helped us with that at the time, and others, because we got the official thing from the Ministry of Culture from Allah Yarhamah, Abdul Amir Hamdani,
The minister,
at the time, but no funding. you know.
Okay.
So we did. So we didn't have that much funds, but the whole idea of it was to experience Venice with our project.
Wow.
So we connected with the boating cultures, including the clubs. It's amazing. So it wasn't so much going to Venice to be, having an exhibition in Venice. It was more being there with a base with our project and engaging with the Venetians. The Bucentoro, the boatmen of the Duke, with traditional boats. They've got museums, etc. But also Gilberto Penzo, who's a historian of it. So he's been working with us, or we've been learning from him, more like, a lot, from the whole experience. Because Venice is actually Basra of the West. People talk about Basra being, Venice of the East.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basra, until recently, until the end of actually, because there was a return of some of these boats, by the way, and some of these crafts with in the 90s with the sanction period.
Okay.
There was a return of handicrafts, a return of boats without engines.
Okay.
So until about then, they had disappeared. The other reason I said was combustion engine, that took all the, for example, I digress, but for example, the gufwa,
Yeah.
we've made fishermen's gufwa, which is 1.60 meters, but they used to make it up to 6 meters. And carry raggi, watermelons, until it reaches to the brim. It goes down to the level.
Weight pushes it down.
Yeah.
Or ajur, tabuk, the bricks and stuff. Vast, huge. These are huge.
These will
40
take tons.
people, 30
Yeah.
people.
These will take tons then.
Yeah. It is a big, it's huge. And so, you had, this all went. But where was I?
Venice.
Venice, thank
Yes.
you.
You're welcome.
So in Basra, there's an Ashari Belem,
Okay.
which is the last of the gondola type. Gondolas have a very specific, through our research, we consider them, it's not just a Venetian gondola.
Okay.
Anywhere where you have in the world, where you've had urban canals,
Yeah.
or intersection between urban and
A river.
and natural environment or
Yeah.
whatever, where you have a control, because a gondola, a boat generally is also, especially the tarada, a projection of power,
Okay.
but also a projection of ostentation, of the arts, of ubbahe,
Yeah.
of that sort of thing. So the Ashari Belem, has got a special front figurehead. It has a cabin, an area where you sit that is cushioned. It'll have a canopy. It'll have somebody with a mardi pushing, or rowing. That's a type of gondola. We recreated 2 of these. Inshallah, we want to return them to the remaining canals in Basra. And in Basra, we've created a committee with the deputy governor, Dr. Maher, through a newly set up Center for Heritage and Manuscripts in the old center of Basra. There's a little something over there about it. So they're looking into it. We're developing with that. Anyway, so the gondola, in researching it, we were researching it. Why? Because there's one picture by Yahya al-Wasiti, Maqamat al-Hariri. You know Maqamat al-Hariri? Maqamat al-Hariri is a book in the 12th century.
Okay.
And about something on the 10th century, but it's illustrated. It's a very influential book on modern Iraqi art. Jawad and the others were all influenced by the miniature paintings over there.
Okay.
And this It's got a certain quality, this Maqamat al-Hariri. And there's one picture that is a gondola, and it's the clearest picture of a boat. We have some verbal written descriptions of boats. It's one of the problems with doing maritime cultural heritage, ancient in Iraq and the area, is that you will not have technical descriptions.
Okay.
You'll have lots of names, as if this boats are going to be there forever, and maybe a description of where it's used or how it's used, but you won't have technical descriptions. And this has been a problem all through. It's very unlike the Western eye, which is a technical eye, and they're describing always the boats.
Okay.
So we are recreating this gondola,
Just from
the
images.
Abbasid, from the one image, which what we did was to have multiple views of it. So we have a couple of architects working with us. We've worked with a number of architects, including in England, with Khalid and Rand Strikarchi and Khalid Ramzi, who were the first ones to work with us on designing the Ark Reimagined. And in Iraq, we have young architects working with us, and I had some other architects. Anyway, so from an architect's point of view and using computer morphology, changing the forms of it, she did a study of it, and I separately did a visual study of how it would look, because the original painting is the proportions are all wrong.
Okay.
But it has the essential bits of a gondola, which is people standing, and actually three people, one behind the other, rowing, standing.
Okay.
With people sitting. It's not covered, but that's because it's an illustration.
Yeah.
And the shape of it is like a mishhoof,
Okay.
between a mishhoof and an ashari.
Yeah.
So I did that and then we took three model boat makers. I've got a number of people making models, each one from a different speciality. One is the ashari, the other is into, the other two are into mishhoofs with very different views, and each one of them built three models. For the gondola, their interpretations.
Okay.
And they all seem to sync. At least the morphology of the computer and my own artistic sort of interpretation were absolutely synced in the proportions and stuff. And the building of the models were different ones. We chose the best one, and now it's being built. So we are looking to, in the next stage, we've built the body. Of the gondola, of the Ashari Jandul. The Jandul, the Arabic for gondola is Jandul. The Jandul. And we're now looking to see how to, because it's a surface or a foil or a platform for the finer crafts. The crafts that are used in making the metalwork for the mosques, for the inlaid woodwork, textiles, all of this. All the others, I see the mashhoof as like a graphic statement, calligraphic. The gondola, no, it's got more crafts and arts and stuff in it.
We're coming up to the end of our time, and there's a few things that I really want to ask, because obviously, from what I'm seeing is that you are creating a legacy.
Yes.
From everything that you're doing, and I'm privileged to have met you. I truly am, and to see everything that you're doing, and I'm really proud to see that Iraq is going in that direction. I'm sure you've gone through your own struggles just to try and get them into this.
Alhamdulillah, now it's reached the Prime Minister's office, inshallah.
That's wonderful.
So hopefully, because what I want to do really is to get an exhibition and 4 of these boats and bring them to England. I don't know when this is going to come on air, but maybe at that time I'll already have brought them, inshallah.
Oh,
that
that
will
would be.
be-
To go down the Thames. And
Yeah,
Oxford
that would be
to-
fantastic. And
to
listen,
witness that is just going to be.
Oh,
absolutely
we
amazing.
want you on board.
Oh, thank you. We'll be there.
We'll be there. That's
Well, that
that's
will
an
be an
invitation.
honor.
We'll
Oh my
take that.
God,
That'll
yes.
we'll take that invitation. And listen to all our followers at the same time. What we're going to try and do is we're going to put in quite a few links to the websites
Yeah.
for your contact, because I think this is one of those projects that all of us truly need to follow. It's something to really be proud of, and it's something for us to promote, you know. And it's I'm just lost for words. I really am lost for words.
And you're all welcome to. We've got a museum exhibit in Basra, in the Basra
wow.
Museum. And
What's
we've
the
got
museum called for anyone that wants to look it up when they're in Basra?
الحضارات, متحف الحضارات.
Okay.
Then, and so it's of civilization. It's an excellent museum in Basra with an open air museum of the boats, plus a traveling museum exhibition in the universities at the moment that's traveling.
Okay.
And we're having also.
If somebody wanted to take a traditional boat,
Yeah.
what scout club, where would you direct tourists towards you guys? How can we direct people
I've
towards
got
you?
a website for the clubs,
Perfect.
specifically for the clubs.
Fine. Well,
Yes.
there's going to be a link.
Yeah, we'll add everything on.
We'll add the link into the
And
website
for the museum. all
and
that.
for the museum as well. So I mean,
We'll give you the tree, the link tree.
Can I ask you, do you have anything here at the British Museum?
Here,
Yeah.
no, I've got a couple of my own works in there, but
You do?
as graphic works there. But no, not yet. But we hope to engage them within the expedition on the Thames, inshallah.
Wonderful. So people can see your artwork.
British Museum has a lot of artwork.
They do, yeah.
And
But I'm
they're
assuming
not
that
always on show.
No, that's
Oh, I
correct.
see.
Yeah.
Yes. So when they have
Yeah.
special events,
They might have. Yeah.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Well, we look forward to that.
Yeah.
We've got one more thing.
yes.
The question. What question would you like to ask our next?
So what we do is we ask the last person
All
to
right.
ask the next person a question, and the last person who asked a question towards you was that if you were to look at the times now, what do you see yourself going into if you didn't choose the current path that you're in?
It would be into making art and sculpture in a more traditional way, and writing.
Other than the boats, what are you a paint artist? Are you what type
I'm a
of art?
multimedia artist,
Okay.
so I do painting. I do print. I'm basically a printmaker.
Okay.
Wow.
For me, that's a whole philosophy of printmaking.
Interesting.
So it's and I do. A lot of the evidence we get for the boats come from cylinder seals. You know cylinder seals?
Yes.
أختام صوانية.
Yeah.
And that's basically 3D printing 3000 BC.
Wow.
Because you're printing mujassamat,
Yeah.
and it comes out with light and shadow.
Oh my God. Wow.
So I mean, and I do that in a manual process in my printing. I paint using printing techniques from sculptural objects.
How amazing.
Wow. That's such a different world
It
to what we
is.
see.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's there around you all the time.
We just need to find it. We just need to see it. Actually,
I think we need to be more connected.
And I think this is what this platform is going to be doing to a lot of people.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, it's opening their eyes up to, there's a lot of art around you, and just to appreciate the art and to not have this throwaway culture. I think, let's
get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Yeah, no.
Throw away the throwaway.
Yeah. Get rid of it.
let's look at our heritage. Let's be proud of our heritage.
Yeah.
Let's bring it
Inshallah.
forward. And I think that's something that I think these generations nowadays are a lot more interested in.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully, we'll have something in Baghdad. It will be past tense maybe by the time this comes out, but in the end of January.
Okay.
And then and an event in April.
So this will be the
Basra,
perfect time. Yeah.
In Basra, and then after April, bringing maybe in May, June the boats to Inshallah. After passing through Jordan, we went by land and then from Aqaba by sea. But in land, there's a trip to also explore Nabatian maritime culture, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So you're all welcome to join.
Thank
you so
It's
much.
Such an honor.
It's honestly been a privilege having you on,
It's a
and thank you
privilege to be
so
here.
much
Thank you.
for joining us. And to all our viewers, honestly, follow the. We're going to send you all of the platforms.
Yeah, we'll put them all
follow,
on our sites.
follow all of the works. And can you just sort of give us? I mean, we've spoken about the boats. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about? Any other projects? Because I know you're working across a whole range of things.
There are a lot of things. I mean, the exhibitions that we're doing are really interesting, because you don't have this discipline of maritime cultural heritage, and basically material culture and intangible cultural heritage, including anthropology, and those are lacking in Iraq. And we are at least 40, 50 years behind. So we're attempting to reintroduce these and to connect this with what is happening around. So these fields have developed in the Gulf and the countries around Turkey and even Iran to a great deal. So inshallah, we'll be able to reconnect as well and use these boats to reconnect through this culture and to develop it. We're partnering with Shenashil that has, I don't know if you know Trust. I could have had my bag. I could take out some of the stuff that we've been doing and show you. So we're printing books about the project with Trust Shabi. Have you heard of Trust Shabi?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Exactly. So we're reconnecting, want to make it available. A lot of studies now are recreating the wheel. Well, it's already been studied before. So we're doing that. I'm on the advisor committee for that as well. With this exhibition, number of exhibitions, maybe bringing the exhibition over here, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Congratulations on everything. And I'm truly proud to have known you, to see everything that you're doing. Yeah. And I really look forward to seeing it grow.
Amal b'shababna.
Inshallah. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much. But again, you haven't asked our next guest the question.
What's the question that you want to ask our next guest?
Oh my God. Then, I don't know the next guest.
Nobody knows.
I think I'd throw back the same question. Yeah. What would you do if you weren't doing what you're doing? I think is an excellent question to pass on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you everyone for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode.
See you next time.
Thank you.